It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom.
What I'm about to say is revelation. I got it on DVD, and I have it on DVD, and you need to get this. Hallelujah. Get your face on the street. Hallelujah.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm back. Yo, I'm black and I'm blickety black, 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 I'm black, 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 y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, because I'm black.
99% of the time when black people come together, they are coming together to pray, to protest, or to pass on information. To pray, to protest, or to pass on information. 75% of the so-called black conscious community is only conscious about learning more facts, reading more books, watching more DVDs. We have become a bunch of information addicts, Brother Charles. The crackhead is addicted to crack. The alcoholic is addicted to alcohol. And the black conscious community is addicted to information. We don't want to build. We just want to talk about the Illuminati. We want to talk about the latest conspiracy. We want to talk about what's happening with the children. We want to talk about the fact we ain't got no organizations. But don't nobody want to do a damn thing about it. You know what escapism is? I'm going to find some way to escape from my misery. I might use drugs. I might use religion. I might use UFO talk. I might use Illuminati talk. I might use Egyptian talk. But I don't want to deal with my problems. I don't want to use my money, and I don't want to risk my life. So anybody who tells me I can solve my problems by believing in Jesus or believing in Muhammad or becoming an African shaman, running to Egypt or relocating to this place or going over there or changing my name or praying this way, anybody who's going to promise me a get-free-quick scheme, anybody who's going to promise me a get-free quick scheme will have my allegiance, because I don't want to do a damn thing to help black people, but I do not want to suffer myself. So if you tell me all I got to do is say Muhammad is God's prophet, or Jesus died for my sins, or I come from another planet, or I'm not African, or change my name, wear some locks, throw on a dashiki, pay some money, if that's all I got to do to stop being a victim of white supremacy, I'm going to do it. And that's why we got so many charlatans and so many hustlers in our community getting rich in the conscious community, because black people do not want to fight to get out of their problems. They don't want to sacrifice to get out of their problems. They don't want to struggle to get out of their problems, Brother Charles. All they want to do is escape through some quick and easy, painless process of redemption.
Things to do. I need to get up here and start working on Hidden Colors 4 and get back into the grind of things, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the calls. Go to TariqRadio.com. Get my brand new lectures, Code of Conduct and International Racism. Get both of those. Go to TariqElite.com and get that fresh gear. Get those clothes, the RBG t-shirts, all that good stuff. Go to HiddenColorsFilm.com and get Hidden Colors 1, 2, and...
Yo, welcome to Under the Influence, Cocktails, and Consciousness. This is a critical thinking platform where we discuss topics that are important and some topics not so important to the black millennial. Now, sometimes those issues are tough, so we handle it with a cocktail. Welcome. This is your host, Caleb, and joining me today, every day, Ivory.
Hi.
Hey. So we here again with another installment of our show where we talk about, issues, like I said, with the black millennial. Today's topic is going to be a very religious, spiritual, kundalini cross man, a mix between.
You're trying too hard.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a mix between it's a mix between the Christian community and also the conscious
difference
community.
between the two?
Well, you know, we want to talk about the differences. We don't want to talk about the similarities, and we also want to talk about how the two can actually come together to make the world a better place.
Got you.
Because man, when we were sitting here thinking about what was really going on and some of the things that tie into both communities, we just were like, yo, we gotta do a show on this one. All right, so let's kick it off. I'm gonna kick it off with this, right? All right, because myself, my personal experience, I think I was like at least 22, 21 or 22 years a Christian, and I have been 4 years in the Black consciousness community, and now I'm streaming off to like, I don't know. I believe that, you know, I'm a mix between the two, and that's really what we want to talk about. What do you think about it, Ivory?
So, I mean, to say that is to imply that the Black conscious community is a religious community, because like you're comparing the two.
I think it
Like
is.
So basically, you're saying a person has to be one or the other. They can't be both.
I'm not saying that's what I'm trying to build into. I think that we literally need to be both.
But I'm saying because you gave like the prelude, saying like you were 22 years a Christian, and then you spent the past couple of years as, you know, a member of a Black conscious community. So it was like you're implying that it's either or.
See, because what I think I did, and what many tend to do, is we tend to split from what.
One extreme to the other.
Yeah, one extreme. We are people of extremes. Because if everybody was truly in the center of what they need to be, we would all understand each other, and we would all come to a conclusion, and we'd be in peace. The center of everything is the peace, but I think the people tend to scroll into extremes.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I think I was 21, 22 years a Christian, and now I've been a couple years in the conscious community. Now I'm slowly, the more information I get, and more critical thinking I'm doing, really it's a critical thinking I'm doing, thinking for myself. I'm starting to inch into the middle.
Okay, got you. Now, myself personally, I don't identify with either groups, you know, because I do agree with you in terms of
You're a feminist.
I'm not anything. The extremes are, you know, pretty dangerous. I think that like people put you in boxes when you start to identify yourself as one thing. I'm not a person of labels, hence the defining myself. I'm a multitude of things, and I know how to take from different beliefs and value sets and apply it to, you know, my own life. So I don't identify with either one. However, before we start, I do want to make it clear that when I hear the word conscious, to me, it's a person who is aware and that is seeing things for what they actually are, instead of like, you know, what we've been told that they are. So kind of seeing things with like that third eye, that mind's eye, and deciphering that. Like that's what me being conscious is being aware. So it doesn't always apply to like, you know, the black community or you know, Black pride or what have you, or it's more so just being a person that is aware.
See, that's what I conflict though, you know, because I mean, what is you say being conscious?
The definition of it is, though.
Yeah, it's a good definition, but
that is what the definition
that
is.
is what the definition. Okay, but as far as being conscious, how do you feel like you're aware and you're awake? What are you really aware and awoken to? Are you awoken to the issues of the world, or are you really awoken to the issues of the Black community?
Everything. So that's what I was saying. Like, so like someone who, and that's why we, you know, call the podcast Cocktails and Consciousness, because it's the person that's aware in general. So that applies across the board. So things that are happening within your community, whether, you know, it is the Black community, being aware that it is of design, things, basically knowing that things just don't happen for no reason, or nothing just pops out in the air, that everything is attached to something, everything has a purpose behind it, some things are designed. And so being conscious to me is a person who is no longer like brainwashed by what society has successfully attempted to do for hundreds and hundreds of years, and that is train the human mind to believe and live one way. A person is conscious is like they finally open their eyes to see that like this is not what is reality. This is a perception, and I want to live my life based on what is real for me.
Why are you describing? Think about this though. Are you describing the conscious community, or are you describing the black conscious community? Because I feel like, as you talk, I feel like I've gathered a difference. Like what you're talking about is great. The conscious community of being awoken, being aware to the shit that's going on in life. But like what I'm talking about is the black conscious community, who tends to have more of a narcissistic view of that reality that you just spoke of. It starts from the belief, which is true, facts. When you read and everything, that you are the first here on earth. You are the mother and father of civilization, which is true. What I gathered when I started to come from my Christianity to my actual knowledge of self and started reading and started to listen to lectures and things like that, I am the first. Everything comes from black. But I think the narcissistic extreme of the conscious community tends to think that everything is about them. They got to save themselves for themselves. This is ours. And it becomes more of a selfish thing. And what I tend to believe, is because another thing that goes along with the black conscious community is that they tend to believe that everything that is wrong with us is because of white people.
But then that's not consciousness. I think there's a stigma attached to consciousness, and there's like a limited belief on what it actually is. Like that is like kind of like scraping the cusp of what consciousness looks like in terms of like, a person getting a little bit of knowledge of who they are as, a black person, and a little bit of knowledge of like the history of black people. And so then they become slightly awakened, but then they stop there. And so then you defeat the purpose of being conscious, because being conscious is an ongoing process of being aware of what's around you at all times, and always searching, always learning, always being curious, and always growing. So that's not consciousness if you see things one way, if you have a limited view of society as a whole, and you're not willing to evolve from that. So it may be called black consciousness, but in fact that's really not what it is. And I have a problem with that, because that's one of the reasons why I don't like to label myself as certain things, because of the stigmas that are attached to it. So when a person who calls themselves conscious is clearly not, because they're not willing to grow and learn outside of the confines of what they first were educated to know, that is not a person that's conscious. But I guess because they have the appearance of someone who is, maybe with natural hair or certain type of like clothing, then they believe that they are. Since it's messages across the board that's what it actually is, but that's not what it is in general.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I'm not as mad. I'm not as, not even say mad, because it's not even when you're talking about just our people, our community, the people, the world in general. It's not mad. It's just a opinionated, critical critique.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that I feel like it's not their fault, because in a way, all people are sheep. Like literally, all people are sheep to branding and constant, consistent messaging, and leaders and thought leaders and everybody else. You know what I mean? So like, I think that the conscious community, black conscious community, tends to be so, shortened and jaded because of the people who, are the thought leaders and the brands and the messaging, and the people who we deem the people who to follow. And because those people, literally, this is the way it works. You might hear a message. Okay, let's say you hear a message and you wake up to black consciousness. Okay, it's a message that runs deep. You've gone through experience, because I believe also that most of the population of the black conscious community has gone through some type of racist trauma that has instilled in them that I don't like. I already have a dislike for another race of people. Now let me be knowledgeable. Let me gain knowledge basically to solidify my point. And that's what they go looking for. And
so basically, they have an idea of something and they find things to support it.
hell yeah. I was thinking the other day I was driving, right? Now when I first bought my car, I've never seen my car in my fucking life, really. Almost. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? But literally, and I've talked to other people about this same thing. Like, yo, I bought my car, which is a Toyota, blue. I looked at it. I'm like, yo, it's a certain brand of car. I have seen my car along the road all the fucking time since I bought my car. But the only reason because I focused on it.
Right.
So like I feel like it's the same thing with people and they focuses. Like the black community, they okay, I have already identified, yo, this white person is my problem.
Yeah.
So everything that you do is gonna be jaded to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I think that's the exact way it works. You know, we this first segment is now don't think I'm bashing on the black conscious community, all right? Because I'm giving my opinionated view, but this second part of this is gonna be about the Christian community. So you just hold up and wait, all right? We're gonna go ahead and point that out too. You know what I mean? Because it's the same way, twofold. But like I feel like you know our leaders have it's a cap on I feel like there's a cap on the black conscious community. There's a cap on the knowledge. There's a cap. Now you can read many books. Now I ain't gonna say you're gonna read any. You gonna get close to reading all the information you could read, or knowing, or looking at all the lectures, or know all the people you can know. But the rhetoric becomes, you know, it becomes the same. It becomes the same shit. Literally, to a certain extent, they might have a different target market, but to a sense, it's the same rhetoric.
So basically, what you're saying remind me of something I read earlier about how everything is perception. So like basically the idea of like, you know, you believe what you want to believe, and the more you believe it, it becomes like a self-fulfilling truth. It becomes like your version of the truth. So like there is no truth or lies. It's just what you perceive, and whatever you perceive, you make it your reality, and that's just what it is.
Definitely. And until somebody elevates you, because if you're not going to elevate yourself, which is like, you know, until somebody elevates you, you're not going to do nothing. All right. Now let's push it over, because I know people are like, fuck this nigga.
I don't know what you mean by until somebody elevates you.
Because it's like if all your information usually comes from somebody else. If most of your thinking patterns come from somebody else, if you haven't had any critical thought about, you know, what's being said and how it maybe relates to something deeper, because I feel like the best way to get to something deeper is to ask why questions. Why and how. Really, why? Okay, so why was I this? Why was I that? So like I think about, like, that's my first question. I didn't question when I first came into my black consciousness. I was like, okay, slavery, boom, and that's when it kicks in. Like, okay, why? But why did they take us really into slavery though? Was it because they hated black people?
So basically, you're saying not questioning what the information is given to you, taking it as face value.
Right, not even taking it as face value, but really asking your own questions about what even is being said to you.
No, I'm saying like you're saying it's a problem when somebody doesn't question it and they just take it for what it is without asking it, like the background of it.
Definitely.
So being a hotel.
That's really what it is, because they literally listen to people, and I ain't gonna say they, because I ain't gonna lie, I probably was one of the niggas at some point. You know what I'm saying? At some point I was okay, like, yo, I need to tune in so I can get the information. Now Hotep is really very it's a line between that two, because I really used to view Hotep niggas really as somebody who don't read. I only view a Hotep nigga really if you just only get your information secondhand and that's it. But like some dudes actually, you know, when they hear like, yo, a lecturer, because a lecturer or somebody who's speaking will throw out a book, and them cats will go read that book. But think about this. Now you have the secondhand information only coming from his source. So you still basically gonna strengthen his ideology.
It's basically like the idea of like somebody forming like their own theory on something, and they find things to support it. Right. But that's not growth mindset. That's not a person who is educated, because a person who's educated is open across the board. They understand that like we are all a blank canvas, and you approach all things with an open mind and a ability to learn. And if it doesn't work for you, you leave it. If it does, you take it. But you don't come up with your own conclusions and then go search for knowledge. You seek out all knowledge and you put your puzzle together. It's kind of like being open and knowing that all things change, because none of this is real. Everything is an illusion ultimately.
Definitely. So some of the things that the Black conscious community believes, and tell me if you agree, is that we are gods.
I don't know. That's kind of like broad.
They believe that we are gods. We call each other God.
Those are 5% though, which is actually another religion.
Yeah. You're right. You are right. You are right. But do we so another thing, one thing that's factual that we believe, I don't know if you believe it, that we are the mothers and fathers, the civilization we came from, everything comes from Africa.
Yeah, science did say that the first person came from Africa. That is science-based.
Science-based is factual, and that we need to also empower ourselves.
But that could mean a lot of different things.
Like that, there's nobody coming to get us, save us, that we need to empower ourselves. There's no Jesus and nothing like that's gonna save us. You gotta do it yourself.
Some people believe that, but then some people do have their own version of Jesus that they look for to save them, like the Umars and the Tyreeks and the.
You think niggas think of them as Jesus?
Yeah, like they live by they hang on to their words and they quote them, and it's like they wait every week for like something new to come out, and so it's still like the idea of worshiping something outside of yourself and seeking knowledge from someone else and applying it to your own life.
That's true.
So there are similarities.
Shots fired, man. I definitely agree, though. I definitely agree. Like I say,
how I see it.
Because I definitely, you know what I mean? I definitely, I listen to a lot of those cats.
So then what is the difference between someone who, and I hate this term, but whatever, but for the sake of argument, what's the difference between someone who is of the Black conscious community bashing a Christian when they have their own people that they worship and they look to for knowledge and inspiration and all of those things? I
think what happens is you consume shit on an emotional basis. You can't consume stuff on an emotional basis because somebody will know your emotion and ride the shit out your emotion. You got to consume stuff on an open-minded, logical, critical thinking basis where you think about everything else going around you. The fact that put like this.
On basic level, you gotta see everybody as human. Everybody is flawed human beings who are really just trying to find their way. Nobody has the ability to have more power than the other. So the problem is worshiping people outside of yourself. And Definitely. You know what I mean? On a basic level, we're all the same. Everybody's the same.
Definitely. But I think what happens is when you consume stuff on an emotional level is instead of critically thinking okay, this person is sitting here talking to you, right? But why are they sitting here talking to you? What makes them sit here talking? Is it because they just care? They just want to spew information? No, it's because they want to get paid. They want to check. You know what I mean? So the information is valid, it's good and everything, but capitalism is driving them too. So you gotta consider that. You gotta consider all those things.
I wouldn't now. I'm not a fan of a lot of the people that we're referring to, obviously, but I wouldn't agree with that totally, because I think that what happens is that people, through their own journey of self-discovery, they find what they believe in, and they do have a gift of being able to regurgitate information in a very charismatic way and get people and influence people easily. Like that is a talent, and so they use that because they believe in something, and I'm sure that some of them do have like a genuine like approach to like, I want my people to know this. And I think that there's nothing wrong with earning, earning income based on that for your survival and for your livelihood. It's no different than like, what I do with, defining myself in the shirts in terms of like, I believe in this. I believe in like, people define themselves outside of social standards and living life on their own terms. I believe in that, and I want to create a movement, a lifestyle behind that. But I also live in a society where like I have to make money to live and to survive, and so like why not be an entrepreneur in that way of using what I believe in to uplift people and make a living off of it.
Yeah.
Like, is that bad?
It's not bad, but people don't follow that. But before we get into that, I want to continue that, but I also want to give this other side because I don't want to be just bashing one side. I want to give an equal view. Let's switch it over to the Christian community, right? Now, what are some of the things that Christians believe, right? Now, Christians believe that Jesus is coming back, that we all started all from Adam and Eve, that they were banished from paradise, that there was a snake, an apple being bitten in two. Jesus performed miracles, turned water into wine. There also is a Armageddon or a Revelation where eagles come out the sky, dragons come out the water, and the ending is that way. And Jesus was crucified on the cross. Okay, so basically we try to give from what's that, Genesis to Revelation of the Bible for you real quickly. But basically Christian is a religious belief. Now, many people believe that Christianity did not originate off the boat, the good ship Jesus, none of them boats like that. But we believe that it came from, actually, we had Christians in Africa. You know what I mean? So, I've read, I've heard, opinions that, conflict, whatever. But that's the belief, though. So the point is we have black Christians today. Now, what drives a black Christian? What I believe drives a black Christian, just like we just got through talking about the black conscious community, is trauma. Now, trauma as far as the black conscious community comes from the belief that their problem in life is racist white people, and racist white people have set them back and have only did them wrong, which has truth to it, but they kind of generalize to all white people. Christians on the other extreme believe that there is good and evil in the world, and that as long as they themselves remain good Christians, believe that Jesus died on the cross for their sins, that they will perish and ascend to a greater place for all of eternity, where they can get everything they want, and all the good shit that we have here on earth, they can get that like 20-fold in heaven. And that's kind of like what Christians believe.
So basically you're saying there's a similarity in that people use their own trauma, and they not use, but the people, based on their trauma, people come to a conclusion about something, and they find, a group to support that.
Definitely, because like we talked about, like you say, Umar and Tariq and Chris Wilson and Claude. And I mean, everybody. You can go Dr. Bart.
In the same. Anyway, we're not okay. Whatever.
All the black people who really are like pro-black, just black only, really, to a certain extent. But we have Creflo Dollar, we have T.D. Jakes, we got Eddie Long,
right.
We got Joel Osteen, Bill Winston,
and we got even local in our respective cities of
what's his name? Meeks.
Like everybody. I mean, all pastors in the church are in a lot of ways, like, praised and looked at as like next to Jesus in a sense, or like, or their version of Jesus. Like,
yeah,
basically like they worship their leader. because their leader is feeding them information that complements their internalized belief, which comes from their own trauma.
Yeah, and they do the exact same thing, where they kind of, people deal with them on an emotional level rather than a critical. People deal with them way now. Okay, now we have to. This is the difference between Black conscious community and the Christian community is the fact that, as far as we talk about extremes, because of the Christian community and it's being basically 95% spiritual, that it's all really, you have to really just have to believe. Now, even the Bible tells you have to believe it's all true or not true. They even say stuff like that. So you really got to just believe in all the shit that happens. And some of it is far-fetched. If you know the Bible, which I believe that everybody should read the Bible, a lot of the stories are far-fetched and it's really folklore.
So what's the similar situation within the conscious community where a story could be far-fetched but people choose to believe it?
Like, give me an example, because a lot of that's facts. Because the problem is the Black conscious community.
There are some people, pro-Black leaders who give storylines that are a little far-fetched, and it feeds into like the brains of people, and it kind of gets a reaction out of them. Like, we were just talking about earlier how Tariq was giving the example of how something was like, that's white supremacy and that's a problem, but it was actually more so an issue of capitalism and greed, as opposed. And don't get me wrong, within white supremacy is capitalism and greed, like that is the core of it, but you're feeding people, I wish I could think of what it's called, basically like you're feeding into like their internalized belief by saying that talking about white supremacy, as opposed to saying that was greed or that was capitalism. And that's the same thing with like these stories that pastors tell or that are in the Bible that are fabricated, but it incites people's emotions, and so they would rather tell them that, stay within the confines of those stories instead of breaking it down and maybe giving it a little bit more truth that'll help someone grow.
Definitely. But we got to talk about the common, the reason why they do the same thing is because, like we talked about the first leaders, the second leaders, they also have a check at the end of the day. Even the people who talk about nothing here. Yeah, even the pastors who talk about nothing here on earth, nothing here right now really, everything about later, they still want their check right now on earth. They still want their check right now. Just like the conscious community, they want their check right now. So when we talk about all this shit that's going on, what's the commonality between everybody? They want their check right now.
Well, we stated the commonality.
And so but I think but we don't listen to them as in that way. We listen to them as in on an emotional way, which the Christian community, like Christians, okay, usually Christians who are deep Christians, they might not be facing the amount of racism that the Black conscious person who flipped into that thinking did. Might be something as far as the world. They might have went through something traumatic in their childhood. They might be going through something traumatic in their family through work. Hell, other Black people might have did them wrong. So they don't flip into that. They flip into everything's fucked up. It's evil. It's just evil. My uncle raped me. That's evil. My fucking cousin got shot. Somebody killed him. That's evil. It was a Black person. That's fucking evil. My mom, she never cared about me. That's evil. And that's the reason why people flip into Christianity, because it deals with everything. And because that's a lot worse, because the people who look like you did that to you, because that's a lot worse, you have to kind of be far gone, which is why I believe that Christianity is dealt more with the spiritual realm, because it's far gone. You got to be far gone and tuned in to really buy into that, to the fact that a snake offered a woman an apple and you believe it. Because we tend to judge people, and I myself have been guilty of judging the hell out of people. Like, yo, y'all stupid, this and this. And when I understood it, when I flipped from Christianity to a Black consciousness, I was like, yo, y'all stupid. That's stupid. Are you fucking serious? But you gotta understand, you're dealing with with post-traumatic stress disorder.
On both ends.
On both ends.
Whether
and
you are part of a black community, pro-black community, or a Christian community.
Definitely. And they're not trying to hear you because you can't relate to them, obviously. So what they do is they go find a group of people who do relate to them. And they say, fuck you. And that's the problem that we have, in which we see. It's why we need to come together, because now, as we wrap into this next segment of the show, we definitely want to talk about this, right? We want to talk about the fact that the black conscious community and the Christian community could definitely learn things from each other, come together, and have a much better tomorrow than they would if they were alone and stayed with their own narcissistic views. Now, what do you think about that, Ivory?
I think we all have the potential to learn from each other. It's just a matter of being open and aware that everybody is an expert of their own lives. And, there have been times when, I've had conversations with people that I didn't think could teach me anything, or, we didn't share the same experiences, but they did teach me something. They had knowledge about a certain issue. So I think that regardless of what you choose to identify as, I think that the most evolved and well-rounded person is a person who understands that each human being on this earth, whether it's a child or a homeless person or whatever, a drug addict, can teach them something, because that's what we're all here for. We all bring something unique to the table. And so if we approach life being open to everyone teaching us something and not believing that we have the answer, then I think we would all be better off.
Definitely. You can always learn from other people. That's how you come to the best. If you stay in your thoughts only and never even observed or seek to understand other people, you're going to be in a shitty position.
Right.
You know
Although, I mean, some people are annoying, and so you don't even want to deal with them. I'm not, because I have to say that, because, I'm aware that, everybody can teach you something, but I think that some people are so, deeply, rooted into, their set belief that, you can't really have a conversation with them, a logical conversation with them. But they will teach you something. They'll teach you that, they are dedicated to what they believe in, and maybe that can be a reflection of something in your own life. I don't know, but yeah, at the end of the day, we all can be teachers on one level or another.
Definitely. So when you think about the tools that both sides of the fence have, the black conscious community and the Christian community. So the black conscious community believes in power, empowerment for your people. They believe that we are gods. They believe that, we are the originators of the world, and all this is true to a certain extent. But Christians, on the other hand, believe that, all people should be loved and people should be forgiven, that, to provide for your fellow man, to basically be a good person at heart. And I feel like if put that together, what do we get? I mean, think about this. What you put together is the fact that Jesus in the Bible was able to do miracles, right? Now, the black conscious community believe that you are Jesus, that you are God, that you are the Son of man. You could do all the damn thing that Jesus did. Put that together. What you put together is the fact that you can do everything you want to do. You are limitless. You can turn water into wine. Now, of course, water into wine was what's the word? I don't know. Was a metaphor. Which you can turn your circumstances to a good circumstance. It's really up to you. What's another thing as far as the the Christian community? They believe that you should tithe into church. I don't necessarily agree with tithe in the church, because he gonna get his check. Like we talked about capitalism, the preacher gonna get his check. But what as far as that ties into what the black conscious community believes into self-empowerment. and empowering your community. Tie into your community. You got money, don't give it to the church. He's good. He's great. Give it to your community. Tie that 10%, that 15%, that money that you was gonna give every fucking Sunday, tie that into your community and see what happens. You know, I feel like that's another common place that literally we could tie both of them into and we'd be straight. What do you think about that?
I think we just need to be able to be open as a people to our differences and similarities.
And if we did that, man, we really would be in a much better light. You know, even if the preachers and the pastors hung out, you know, and got through some of their differences and shit. Like, you know, a lot of them think the other is moist, and you know, the other side, they think they militant. Like, hell, I mean, I don't know what the combination of moist and militant would be, you know, like, moist and militant. But like, what was that? We already had a moist and militant. What was his name? What's his name? Back with Dr. King.
That's not it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know. But you know, like, I forgot. So I can remember his name, I said, well, fucking. But you know, like, I feel like, you know, the combination of us coming together, man, we'd be in a much better place, man. What did you say?
Nothing.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Say it. Yeah, but you know, as far as everything, you know, we go do another show, man, because like this is just so much, man. This is so much, and we really want to cover it. How to do a part 2 of this, man. We definitely want to see what you comment on this and how you feel about this. But like, we definitely feel like, you know, those are two extremes, man. We definitely need to get centered. You know, the Black conscious community and the Christian community are two extremes, which is why we can't. Either one is converted to the other one, or the other one, like frats or sororities or something like that, gangs or some shit like that, like any other separator. It's a Tower of Babel. Damn it. It's a Tower of Babel where nobody understood the language and they could never ever build to heaven again. But you know, until next time, man, we can go ahead and sign off here. This is Under the Influence, Cocktails and Consciousness. This is your host, Caleb, and the lovely Ivory. Go check out the Defining Myself merchandise. Go check out the 50 plus great quotes that will empower athletes on Amazon. And until next time, man, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Later.
Bye.